I remember the exact moment when I decided to take the leap. It was a cold winter night, my apartment silent except for the gentle hum of the heater. I sat at my window, staring at the stars that dotted the night sky like distant sentinels, and felt that familiar ache in my chest. Loneliness. Years of failed relationships had left me weary. I had tried everything. Dating apps, blind dates arranged by well-meaning friends, even a professional matchmaker who had promised results but delivered only disappointment. Something was always missing. A connection that went beyond the physical, beyond shared interests and compatible lifestyles. I longed for a soul-deep recognition, a love that felt like coming home. That's when I remembered the old book I'd found in my grandmother's attic after she passed. Bound in worn leather with faded golden symbols embossed on its spine, it had called to me in a way I couldn't explain. Celestial Connections, Pathways to Divine Love, the title read. I had skimmed through it briefly, dismissing it as an interesting but outdated relic of my grandmother's spiritual phase. But that night, with the weight of solitude heavy on my shoulders, I retrieved it from the bottom drawer of my desk. The discovery. The pages were yellowed and fragile, filled with elegant handwriting and intricate diagrams. As I carefully turned each page, I discovered that the book was not just about spiritual philosophy, but contained detailed instructions for communicating with celestial beings, angels specifically. And among them was Anael, described as the angel of love, the celestial embodiment of Venus's energies, the divine mediator of romantic unions. I had never considered myself particularly spiritual. I believed in science, in tangible realities. But something about this book, about the possibility it presented, resonated with me. What if there were forces beyond our understanding? What if love was indeed governed by celestial energies that could be invoked, channeled, directed? The rational part of me scoffed at the idea, but the part of me that had lain awake countless nights, yearning for a connection that seemed increasingly impossible to find, whispered, "What do you have to lose? The preparation." The book was clear. Communicating with celestial beings was not to be undertaken lightly. It required preparation, dedication, and most importantly, pure intention. This wasn't about commanding supernatural forces to bend to your will. It was about aligning yourself with cosmic energies, opening yourself to guidance and possibilities. For the next month, I dedicated myself to preparation. I cleared a space in my spare bedroom, setting up a small altar with items that represented the qualities I sought in love. Rose quartz for unconditional love, clear quartz for clarity of intention, a small copper bowl for Venus's metal, and a mirror to reflect and amplify energies. I began a daily meditation practice, focusing on opening my heart center. I eliminated alcohol and reduced my caffeine intake. I started journaling, exploring my patterns in relationships, acknowledging my fears and insecurities, clarifying what I truly sought in a partner beyond the superficial checklist I had clung to for years. The book recommended performing the ritual on a Friday, Venus's Day, during the hour of Venus, when the planet was visible in the night sky. I chose a date 3 weeks away and began counting down the days with a mixture of skepticism and hope. The ritual Friday, February 14th, Valentine's Day. The irony wasn't lost on me. I had deliberately chosen this date, thinking that if cosmic forces of love existed, they might be particularly potent on a day dedicated to love, even if that dedication had been commercialized beyond recognition. I had taken the day off work. I spent the morning in meditation, the afternoon in ritual bathing with rose-infused water, and as sunset approached, I entered my prepared space with a sense of reverence I had never felt before. I lit 7 green candles, arranged in a crescent, moon shape. I burned sandalwood incense, its sweet, woody aroma filling the room. I placed a small bowl of rose water at the center of my altar, alongside a crystal sphere that had been my grandmother's. Dressed in a simple white robe, I sat before the altar and began the invocation described in the book. The words felt strange on my tongue at first, ancient names and phrases in languages I didn't recognize. But as I continued, something shifted. The words began to flow more naturally, as if remembered rather than read. The candle flames grew, taller, steadier, casting dancing shadows across the walls. I closed my eyes, continuing the chant, feeling a warmth spreading through my body from my heart center outward. The scent of roses intensified, though I had only the small bowl of rose water. A gentle breeze seemed to circle the room, though all windows were closed. And then, stillness. A profound silence that seemed to exist beyond the absence of sound. When I opened my eyes, the crystal sphere on my altar was filled with a soft, rose-golden light that pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. I hear your call, child of Earth. The voice didn't come through my ears, but seemed to resonate directly within my mind. It was neither male nor female, but contained aspects of both. Melodious, warm, infinitely kind. I had prepared questions, had rehearsed what I would say, but in that moment, all I could manage was the truth. I'm lonely. I've been seeking true love, but I've lost my way. What you seek is also seeking you, came the response. But walls of fear and doubt stand between you. You ask for love while armored against it. How do I remove the armor? I whispered. What followed wasn't a conversation. In human terms, it was a transmission of understanding. Images, feelings, knowings that bypassed language. I saw my own patterns with painful clarity. How I judged potential partners too quickly. How I held parts of myself back out of fear of rejection. How I had confused superficial attraction with soul connection. I felt tears streaming down my face as layers of protection I hadn't even realized I had built around my heart began to dissolve. It wasn't comfortable. Transformation rarely is. But I knew it was necessary. Open yourself to possibility. Release expectations of form. The love you seek may come in unexpected packaging. Watch for signs, trust your intuition. Above all, love yourself first as completely as you wish to be loved. The rose gold light began to fade from the crystal. The candles, which had burned impossibly steadily throughout the ritual, suddenly flickered. You are never alone, child of Earth. Love surrounds you always, waiting for you to perceive it. And then the presence was gone, leaving me trembling, tear-stained, but filled with a sense of peace I hadn't experienced in years. The aftermath, I'd like to say that I walked out of that room and immediately bumped into my soulmate. That's how these stories are supposed to go, isn't it? But real magic, true transformation, rarely works that way. Instead, in the days and weeks that followed, I noticed subtle shifts in myself. I caught myself smiling at strangers more often. I began to see beauty in places I had overlooked before. I started volunteering at a local animal shelter, finding joy in the simple act of caring for creatures who gave love so freely. Most significantly, I stopped obsessing about finding the one. The desperate edge that had characterized my search for partnership softened into gentle openness. I focused on nurturing friendships, on deepening my connection with my family, on finding fulfillment in my work and hobbies. 3 months after the ritual, I decided to take a pottery class, something I had always wanted to try but had put off, always finding excuses. The studio was small, tucked away in an old industrial building that had been converted to artist spaces. As I sat at the wheel, struggling to center my clay, a voice beside me said, "It helps if you breathe with the clay." I looked up to meet the warmest brown eyes I'd ever seen. They crinkled at the corners when he smiled, which he did easily and often. His name was Daniel, and he was the studio assistant, helping novices like me find our way with the clay. There was no thunderbolt moment, no angelic choir, just a simple connection that felt comfortable from the first moment. We talked as he helped me reshape my lopsided attempt at a bowl. He had a quiet confidence that put me at ease, a genuine interest in people that drew out their stories. After class, he asked if I wanted to grab coffee. I said yes without hesitation or analysis, a response that came from an instinctive knowing rather than the careful calculation that had guided my dating life before. over coffee, which turned into dinner. I discovered he was divorced, had lived abroad for several years teaching English, and had returned to care for his ailing father. He loved science fiction, could cook amazing Thai food, and had a reverence for nature that manifested in weekend hiking trips and volunteer work with conservation groups. He wasn't what I had imagined as my type. He was older than the age range I had set on dating apps. He wasn't particularly ambitious in a career sense. His life had taken winding, unexpected paths rather than the straight trajectory I had always thought I wanted in a partner. But as weeks turned into months, I discovered something profound. What I had thought I wanted was far less important than what I actually needed. And what I needed was someone who saw me, truly saw me, and loved what they saw. Someone who had done their own inner work, who brought wholeness rather than need to our relationship. Someone whose presence felt like both excitement and peace simultaneously. 1 year later today marks 1 year since that ritual with Anael. Daniel and I have been together for 9 months now. We're moving in together next month, not rushing, allowing our relationship to unfold at its own perfect pace. Sometimes I wonder, was it really an angel that guided me to him? Or was it simply that the ritual helped me clear away my own obstacles to love, allowed me to see possibilities I had been blind to before? I don't know for certain. But this I do know. The love I've found isn't perfect in the way I once defined perfection. It's messy sometimes. We disagree. We have different ways of approaching problems. But it's real in a way none of my previous relationships ever were. It's a love that sees flaws and loves anyway, that challenges growth without demanding change, that feels simultaneously safe and exciting. Last week, as we packed boxes for the move, Daniel found my grandmother's book, Celestial Connections. He read, tracing the faded gold letters. My mother had this exact same book. She used to read from it to me when I was little. A chill ran down my spine, the good kind that signals recognition of something profound. "Did she?" was all I could manage to say. "She did," he smiled, handing me the book. "She always said that love was the most powerful magic in the universe. I think she was right." As I took the book from him, our fingers touched, and I felt that now familiar warmth spread through me. The feeling of coming home, of being exactly where I'm meant to be, with exactly who I'm meant to be with. Whether Anael directly guided Daniel to me or simply helped me remove the barriers that kept love at bay doesn't really matter. What matters is that I found the courage to step beyond what I could see and touch and measure, to open myself to possibilities beyond my understanding. What matters is that I found love, not just with Daniel, but with myself, with my life, with the mysterious unfolding of existence itself. And for that, I will be eternally grateful to a grandmother who left behind a curious old book, to my own desperate loneliness that drove me to try something beyond reason, and to an angel who might or might not exist outside my own deepest knowing. Love finds a way. Sometimes that way involves a bit of magic. The continuing journey, as I write this, the crystal sphere sits on our shared bookshelf. Sometimes, in certain lights, I catch glimpses of rose gold within its depths. Daniel has never questioned it, never asked about the ritual or my beliefs. He accepts this part of me with the same openness with which he accepts all of me. Last Friday, Venus's Day, I caught him placing a fresh rose beside the crystal. When I asked about it, he simply said, "Honoring the forces that brought us together, whatever they might be." And that perhaps is the greatest gift Anael gave me. Not just love itself, but a love that expands my world rather than limiting it, that embraces mystery alongside reality, that grows continuously in unexpected directions. If you're reading this and feeling that same loneliness I once felt, that same yearning for connection that goes beyond the superficial, I don't know if summoning an angel is the answer for you, but I do know this. Love exists. Real, soul-deep, transformative. Love exists. And it may come in ways you never expected, from directions you never thought to look. Open yourself. Trust. Watch for signs, and perhaps light a candle for Anael on a Friday evening. You never know who might be listening.